Okay, so in this particular case, we're going to be talking about cell phones and law enforcement, and this actually happened. So let me push this button and let's go. Let's go. Make sure this, I'm going to make sure the sound's coming through.
Yeah, the headline for this is quote, "The government hopes to set a precedent." An interview with the man charged for allegedly wiping his Graphene OS phone. So, this man,
You guys
Samuel
are going to love
Tunnet,
this
tell
story.
me who he is and what happened to him when he landed in an airport last year.
Yeah, so Samuel arrives in an airport in January 2025. He was returning to the US from a vacation in the Dominican Republic. And he doesn't know this, but DHS ahead of time sends a warning to the airport and says, hey, essentially, we are monitoring this person. We would like you to stop him at the border, and we really, really want to get a hold of his phone. I'm paraphrasing what his lawyer told me, and obviously, we'll get into more specifics.
Okay, so it all sounds legit right now, right? But stay tuned.
But he gets to the airport with that context. The officials there, asking a bunch of questions, such as, can we search your bags? He says no. They do it anyway, as will become apparent. And as listeners probably know, the airport is a very unusual place when it comes to the US and what can be searched and what can't. They
Don't
go
worry,
through his
guys. This
bags,
isn't all
don't
British.
find anything of note or illegal or anything like that. They ask to search his person. He says no. They do that as well. He asked for a lawyer multiple times during this, and that is denied, even though he has the phone number of a lawyer on him. And then they get to the phone. And these, I believe, Customs and Border Protection officials really, really want to search that phone. They ask him to hand over the passcode. He declines to do so. There is a long back and forth where they say, look, we're going to get your phone one way or another. Like, we're probably going to break into it and all of that sort of thing. So why not just make it easier? And Samuel eventually does give over a code, which one of the officers types into the device. But then rather than unlocking the phone, his lawyer told me it went to a blank screen and then it displayed the Graphene OS logo. We'll talk about Graphene in a minute. But basically, what had happened was that the phone was wiped when the official entered that code. It didn't unlock it. It wiped everything on the phone and basically returning it to a factory state. And obviously, that, well, I would say that probably greatly annoyed the officials who were trying to gain access to it. And then, not to get too far ahead.
Yeah. And so if you're just starting to, so if you're just now watching or you're just starting to pay attention, what basically happens is, yeah, there's a code on these graphene phones where you can wipe it. You can do a factory wipe. And the idea is that it protects your information, it protects your data. And, it's fully, it's, oh, I don't want to jump too far ahead because we're not going to watch this whole video, but, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. So let's go ahead and push this button.
But then that is what these charges relate to. That he came to this airport, he was being searched there, provided the code, it wipes the phone, and now he's being charged with that. Although, I'll just stress, there's no warrant for this phone. There's no specific evidence the authorities have said that they need to go after. It's not like you have evidence of XYZ on your phone, hence we need to get it. He's being charged just for the wiping itself.
Before we continue, I think you should explain, why is Samuel even a person of interest? Is he a spy for a different country? Is he on America's Most Wanted list? What is the deal with Samuel?
Before we get to my story, I've got to tell you that right now it's summertime. Summertime there's an elevated level of opportunity for you to be involved or personally felt onto your body a major injury. Summertime, we go out, we have fun, and we do the things that we don't do during the winter. Now, in the winter, you're just going to freeze to death. In the summertime, you're going to do things that you wouldn't normally do. And if you're like a homesteader, you're out actually like chopping lots of wood for the winter, opportunity for major problem. More driving during the summer, opportunity for major major problem. If you don't have the appropriate gear, you could end up dying. Not a joke, just bleeding out. It's the #1 cause of death in the United States. Not guns, not anything like that. Not being locked in a refrigerator, no foolish stuff, just bleeding to death. How do we get through that? We make sure we have the good equipment. And the way we do that is Refuge Medical. Refuge Medical has the best equipment. It's all made in America. It's all top of the line. There's no questions about it whatsoever. If you're interested, hit the link in the description, save a little bit of money because it's not cheap. Let's get on to the story.
Yeah. So we actually covered this case a while back. We broke news of it like last year in November or December when they got a hold of the indictment. And at the time, it was man is being charged for allegedly wiping his phone. And so we couldn't include much of this context, which is in response to your question. Even though I knew a lot of it, it wasn't clear enough to report. But now we can say that, Samuel is part of the Stop Cop City activist movement in Atlanta, where I'm not going to go into everything about that. I'm sure people are aware of it. But basically, there's a grassroots movement that was protesting against the development of a law enforcement training facility on a certain piece of ground in Atlanta. And the protests range from, just signs and
Okay, so you know, I I want to know how you feel about this. Here's the story. The story is guy goes through customs. They want to look at his phone. He wipes their phone. They get upset. And then we find out that he's part of like this organization that was like, I guess he's basically like a professional organizer protester, something to that effect, right? So knowing those two facts, put a one in the chat if you think what he did was right. Put a 2 in the chat if you think what he did was wrong. Where did this, Tim says, where did this happen? USA. Yes, it happened in the United States. My guess is it probably happened in Atlanta. There is an article that I'm going to bring over, and I can share this. If you guys like, I can share the link to this YouTube video. Ian says, I may not agree with his politics, but he still has privacy rights under the Constitution. Yeah, exactly. It's like, so the question here is not, there's an overarching question that no one has talked about. And we're not going to, like I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time watching somebody else's video, even if it's good. If you want to watch it, the link is right there. But here's the thing. When entering the United States, what are your constitutional rights? I wonder if they are different. I'm a firm believer in your info should be yours. Yes, 100%. 100%. But so while that video was playing, I actually kind of like, I looked up this article, right? I'm going to flip this back over. And so America being prosecuted for wiping his phone before handing it over to border officials. He's being prosecuted for giving border officials a code that wiped his phone. The case centers a feature. Hold on, let me make this a little bigger for you. There, that's better. The case centers on a feature included in GrapheneOS, a custom Android operating system that runs in place of software of modern Google Pixel devices. Tunic's attorney confirmed GrapheneOS was running on his phone. The software feature allows the device owner to set a passcode that deliberately wipes the contents of that device if entered instead of the user's unlock passcode. Tunic's case also raises ongoing questions about what constitutional rights can be invoked at the border, which the U.S. government has long asserted is not U.S. soil until a person is authorized to enter. And they do that so that people can't say I flew to America. Now I'm in America, so now I can claim I'm on US soil, so now I can like claim whatever rights I want to. Graphene says that the feature is completely legal. We have no obligation to weaken any of our security protection it provides. Creating the using GrapheneOS is strongly protected by the US Constitution. Laws attempting to make it illegal or require weakening the security would be unconstitutional. And it says it's hard to know how much the Constitution matters in the U.S. right now. This is all very true, guys. This is all very true. I guess the moral of the story is that, well, let's see what's in the chat. Grumpy Acre says, it's funny. I just talked about principles of the morals behind this on our live last night. There you go, guys. Gregory says, Gregory, one of our winners in the past. He says, as an American, if I'm in or out of my country, my government still has to adhere to my rights. Boom. 100%. 100%. 100%. I really do love this story. And I love this story because it's clear they're going to be like obstructing justice or, interfering with an investigation. The thing is it's like that's right up there with the right to remain silent. This is also a Fourth Amendment issue, as well. I hate to say it, the government's going to lose. They're absolutely going to lose. There's no way they can win.